Okay, Gitvach, we're up to a Gimel Amid Beis, where the lines get wide, two lines down, the two dots. Tanrabanan. Dine Mamnis Bishleisha, as our Mishnah said, Dine Mamnis is with three Dayanim. Rabbi Yoima Bichamisha, right? Rabbi says what? Is five. Rabbi says five. Kidei Ksheyigmar Hadin Bishleisha. In order that you should have a majority. In other words, 5 and 3 is a majority. What of the half meaning of the Gemara is if you have 5, you have the possibility of a majority 3-2. And therefore, if that's the kasha for the Gemara, if that's the case, if you're telling me it has to do with a majority, well, 3 is a majority of 5, 3, right? 2 is a majority of 3. So again, that's not a reason that you should go ahead and say that you need 5. If that's not a reason, you should say you need 5. Says in Rahachikama. Here's the way you read the shot in the Brisa. In other words, you need 3 people. The Gemar Din should be with 3 people. If you have 3, the Gemar Din could be with only 2 people. If you have 5, the Gemar Din could be with 3 people. The 3 people are going to say the same thing. You need 3 people saying the same thing. Good? So in other words, we thought initially that when it gives a number, it means at the beginning of the court case, how many you need. I need 3 at the beginning of the court case. I need 23 at the beginning of the court case. I need 71 at the beginning of a court case. And now the Gemara's Havamina is that, no, you need that amount for the Gemar Din. In other words, you need that amount agreeing, which lends itself, fellas, to, if that's the case, you should need 41. You should need 45. In other words, you would need the amount to give a Gemar Din for 71 and a Gemar Din for what? For 23. Al Makasavar, Tilsa Kiksivi. When is it written 3 Dayanim? Gemar Din Ksivi. It's written by the end of the din. You need 3 to go ahead and finish the din. Says the Gemara, Megadif Bar Rabavo. Rabavo moved this like this. He went like with his hand like this. Like what are you talking about? Megadif Rabavo. Elamayata. Tehi Sanhedrin Gedoyla. Tzricha Meya Varba Ve'echad. You should need 71 plus 70 in order to finish with 71. You need 141. In order to lend the possibility for a Gemar Din of 71. Sanhedrin Katana, you would need a Bezdin of 23. You need 45. In other words, if the number you're giving is not the beginning of the din, the number you're giving is at the Gemar Din. So therefore, the Mishnah that said 3, 23, 71 is wrong. According to Rabbi, it should be what? It should be 5. It should be 141 and 45. And it's not. Ella, what do you have to say? Esfali Shivim Ish, when it said Sanhedrin Gedoyla, when Moshe Rabbeinu said, gather for me 70 men, Amar Achmana, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was saying, Mishas Asifa Shivim. It was speaking about gathering the 70. No, this was the source for 70. So just like by 70, we know it's the beginning of the din, not the end of the din, that you don't need that amount to conclude, but just to begin the court case, that it's 70. So therefore, when we say 3 as well, it's the beginning, and not 5, as opposed to Rebbe. V'shavto Eida v'tzila Eida nami mishash shvisas ha'eda ha'chanami Eida, meaning that's the source for 23. Guys, remember, Eida is 10. Eida is 10. You need a majority of 2 Faidin in the Fashis, and therefore a Bezdin is not equal. You need 23. So therefore, also, just like the 70 means the beginning of the din, the 20 also means the beginning of the din, the 23. And Memela Hachanami, the smallest Bezdin, the Nikra Balabayas El Elohim, in the parsha of Shem Echinam, where we learn out Elohim 3 times Dayanim, or like Rabbi Yonason twice, and you need Bezdin Shakel. With Machloikas the other day, Rabbi Shai ben Yonason, right? Mishas Kreva Shleishim. It's the beginning. So now, very good. So now back to the original question. Why does Rabbi need 5? Why does Rabbi need 5? It can't be to finish the Gemara Din with 3. That's not true, right? So why does Rabbi need 5? Elohim time of the Rebbe. The pasuk says, again, this is the pasuk in Akol Deva Pesha, Al Shor Chamar Aseh Salma, Al Kol Aveda Asher Yom Akiyuzeh, Ad Elohim till the Dayan Yavid Shnehem. You bring their matter to them. Asher Yashion Elohim Yishalem Shneim L'Reyehu. Asher Yashion, they who they find guilty should pay. So you have Now, it says in the Parsha, it says 3 times Elohim, guys. 3 times, right? The first one, Ein Darshan Tchilos, eye contact. First one, Ein Darshan Tchilos. You're not going to darshan the first one because we need it for itself. That leaves us with 2, right? And Ein Beis Nishakol will give us 3. But Elohim is a lashon of plural. So Rebbe says Elohim is 2. Second Elohim is 2 is 4. Beis can't be equal. You add another one, is 5. That's the source of Rebbe's 5. That's the source of Rebbe's. It says Elohim 3 times, but the first one, we're not to the darshan tchilos. We need it for itself, and therefore it's not darshanable. We have 2, and it's lashon of rabbim. Asher yashiyun they. Asher yashiyun they is a lashon of rabbim. Memela, it's going to be 5. 2, and 1. That's
only
Rebbe.
according to Rabbi Yomi, no?
What?
It's
Yeah,
only
this
according to Rabbi Yomi.
correct. Elohim the time of the Rebbe. No. It's tricky because you said even he went darshan tchilos. Rabbi Yosef, look at the Rabbi Shai says you also don't darshan tchilos.
Oh, yeah, ended off like that. Okay, man.
Yat charata. It says that was the Havamina, the Gemara in the end also. So it's even like yeah. It says Elohim the time of the Rebbe. Asher yashin Elohim trey nemar Elohim lamata v'nemar Elohim lamayla. It says Elohim above. It says Elohim below. Malamata shnayim. Just like above in the parsha, the Elohim is 2. Aflamayla shnayim is 2. Vein Beis Nishakol ma'asifin aleim echad harikan chamisha. That's how you get Rebbe's 5. Okay, you get Rebbe's 5. Very geshmak. Okay, now v'Rabbanon. What are the Rabbanon who say 3? What do they do with Rebbe's raya from Yashiyun? They say Yashiyun is written missing the vav. Yashiyun chasa kesiv. It doesn't say with a vav. Since it doesn't say with a vav, it does not mean plural. It means singular. So one Elohim, a second Elohim, right? One Elohim, a second Elohim, and now Ein Beis Nishakol is 3. Okay, so that's it. 5 and 3. Yashiyun is Rebbe says they. Rebbe says they, and we're going to go ahead and say that means what? 2. They is plural, and it says Elohim there, and just like Elohim there is plural, below it's also plural, is 4. Beis has to be odd, is 5. The Chachamim, they don't go after the way it's read. They don't go after the way it's read, they go after the way it's pronounced. Okay, this is the segue into a total digression. Total digression, guys. How do you darshan the Torah? Do you darshan the Torah the way it's written or the way it's read? Do you darshan the Torah the way it's written or the way it's read? If you darshan the Torah the way it's written, in this case the Chachamim, it's missing the vav. Since it's missing the vav in Yashiyun, I'll darshan it chaser as 1. If you darshan the way it's read, it doesn't make a difference. It's pronounced Yashiyun they. Rebbe obviously darshans the way what it is what it is. It's read. Now be aware that this machlokes that we're entering is not universal. If you look at the second Tosfos on the page, if you go down about 7 lines, it says Venira. The second word on this near in the Tosfos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 7. Venira. The dafka hacha shemikru mesiris mak sheyadadi, where the mikra, the way it's read, and the mesiris weaken each other. That's when you have the machlokes. Islahu yeshem lemikra. Then you say yeshem lemikra. Aval heicha deloy mekashu adadi, where they don't go ahead and weaken each other. Darshu chavayu. Then you'll darshan both. And he brings other cases. So in other words, you're not locked into saying that it's the universal machlokes. When is yeshem lemikra yeshem machlokes where they go ahead and weaken each other? Like over here, it's either 2 or it's 1. Then you have the machlokes. But where they complement each other, and then you could possibly go ahead and darshan both. And Tosfos gives examples. Okay, so we're going to begin this sugya. We're going to bring in other cases and I'll explain as we go along exactly what we're speaking about. Okay, so the first case is the amount of time a woman who gives birth is tummy. Now we know a boy is 7 and 33. She's tummy for 7 days. Any blood she sees after 7 days is dam tahar, is 33. A girl, it's 14 and 66. It's double the amount. It's 14 and 66. But it doesn't. How do you get 14? We pronounce it shvu'ayim. Shvu'ayim means 2 weeks. But it's written shivim. So if you go after the way it's pronounced, yeshem lemikra, she's going to be tummy for 14 days. If you go after the way it's written, she's only be tummy for 7 days. For 70 days, shivim, 70. She'll be tummy for 70 days. That's quite a discrepancy, right? So it says the Gemara Geshmak. Rabbi Yitzchak Rabbi Yosef. Says Rabbi Yitzchak name Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi and Rabbi Yehuda ben Royetz. Ube Shammai. Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Akiva. All these Tanoim. Kula Svir Lahu. They're all of the opinion. Yesh Eim Lemikra. You go after the way it's pronounced. Rabbi Hada Amaran. Rabbi, as we just said, even though it's missing the vav, it's chaser, but it's pronounced yashiyun is they. So the way Rabbi pronounced it, clearly you're going to go after what? The they. Rabbi Yehuda ben Royetz, the Tanya, Shol Talmidim es Rabbi Yehuda ben Royetz. Ekra ani shivim. I see it says, right? I read it as what? As shvuayim. That's the truth. Guys, the pasuk says, from the Keva Seiled, if the woman gives birth to a female, B'tama shvuayim, she'll be tummy for 2 weeks. So I pronounce it shvuayim. Yochelte yoledes Keva Tameya shivim. I might think she's tummy for 70 days, because that's the way it's written. Amalehem, time v'tir b'zacha, v'time v'tir b'nekeva. We have days of Tumah by Zacha and days of Tyra by Zacha. They have days of Tumah by Nekeva and days of Tyra by Nekeva. Makishatira b'Zacha b'Nekeva. Keflayim, just like the days when you go ahead and your tahar, it's what? It's double. It says mafurish that if she gives birth to a male, she's tahar for 33 days. It says mafurish, she's tahar for 66. So just like the May Tahar is double, the May Tameya is also double. Just like the Zacha's tummy for 7, she's tummy what for 14. So even though it's written as Shivim, we can figure out that you go after the way it's read, which is what? Shivu Ayim, which is 2 weeks. Right? It would make sense that the formula for the male and the female now are corresponding to each other. After they left the Talmidim Yatsu Machsa Achrayim, in other words, he learned it from here. And then Rabbi Yehuda ben Royetz ran after them and Amalehem, Ietem Sekukim Lekach. You do not have to listen to what I told you. Why? Shvuayim Karinon v'yesh Eim Lemikra. Guys, outside. Is this woman Tameh for 70 days or for 2 weeks? If you go after, now, that was the question. Maybe it says Shivim. It's written Shivim. So he said, it's a limud. We can figure out she's only tummy 14 days by the comparison to Zacha. Zacha is 733. She must be 1466. Good. And then he ran after, goes, forget what I told you. You don't need that. Because we go after the way it's read. How's it read? Shivu ayim. It's read. It's 14. That's it. Zehu. No comparison to Zacha. The fact that it's read is 14. Zehu maspik. That's enough to go ahead one and conclude that one is 14. Yeshem lemikra. So we have Rebbe's over here, Yashiyun, the way it's pronounced. We have Rabbi Yehuda ben Royetz by the Indian Tumah of a woman is Shuayim, the way it's read. Again, going through Yesh Eim Lemikra, we're going after the way what it is read. Okay, now. We know that there are two types of karbanis. There's karbanis that are brought inside, very seldom inside. Yom Kippur is the only time for sure. There's a Pelem Davish Shel Tzibur, if Bezdin blows it in a psak of karis, and the people act upon it. We said in the Mishnah, Smichas Kainim, that's called Chatas Panimius. Now, by a regular carbon, an Oyla Shlamim, you have Shnayim Shein Arba. You go ahead, you have a Mizbeach, that's like this. You get this corner, that accomplishes 2. You get this corner, that's the Shtayim, 2, Shein Arba. By a Chatas, you daub it on the top, right? Now, what happens? If you do 1, are you yaitz or not? If you do 1, are you yaitz or not? If inside, if you miss even 1, you're not yaitz. So with that in mind, we're discussing the spritzing on the mizbeach, what we can learn the minimal amount is, and it's going to lend itself into the machlokes between yesh eim lenikra and yesh eim l'sayris. Good, that's what we're discussing right now. So we said Beis Shammai also. Beis Shammai did nan. Where do you see Beis Shammai holds yesh eim lemikra? Beis Shammai yoimim kol anitin al mizbeach achitzayin. Any carbon that is on the outside mizbeach, that's on the mizbeach ha'nechayches, mizbeach ha'damat ha'asali, shanitnan b'matana achas, that you go ahead and put 1 spritz, kiper. It works. Ubechatas, however, if it's a chatas, shtei matanos. You need 2. For chatas, you need 2. Ubesoloimim, af bechatas, shenitin matana achas, kiper, even 1. So again, Oila shlamim, they both agree 1. Machlokes by chatas. Beis Shammai says 2, and Beis Hillel says even 1. That there's no chiluk between the chatas and oila shlamim according to what? According to Beis Hillel. But obviously, it must be the way Rabbi Beis Shammai is going to darshan, the way it's read. We're going to know by a chatas you need 2. My time in the Beis Shammai that you need 2. Now, these psukim are in Vayikra Daled. So the first one it says, now karnois there is red karnois. It's written chaser. It's written missing a vav. The next pasuk karnois v'lokach hakoyin midam achatas be'etzboi v'nasan al karnos mizbeach ha'oila. Right. There's kol dama yishboich yisoidam mizbeach ha'oila, and therefore that's in pasuk lamedalid. And there karnois is also written chaser. Finally, okay, now it's written chaser. Karnois harikan shesh. It says karnois. Now it's written mole, each one. Since when it's each mole karnois, it's plural, horns, it'll be 2. So if it's written 3 times, we're going to use it for 6. Good. Arba le mitzvah. 4 is the mitzvah. That's the lichatchilas 4. Ushtayim la'akev. And 2 to go ahead and be ma'akev. In other words, you have using the formula of yesh aim lemikra, since it says karnois 3 times, and even though it's written chaser, you know it's chaser, but it's pronounced karnois. It's pronounced plural. 3 times 2 is 6. But you don't have to. It's no carbon you have to put 6 times on. The maximum amount you put is 4. Why does it mention 6? To tell me the max and the min. The max is 4. The min is 2. But that's only because you darshan yesh aim lemikra. Because that's how you create 6 daubings. Because what? Because it says karnois plural. Beis Hillel says even 1 oimnim. Karnois is written mole 1 time. Karnois is written chaser twice. That gives you a total of 4. Karnois 2, and then chaser is 1 and 1. Harikan arba, that gives you 4. Gimel the mitzvah. Tell me 3 is lemitzvah, v'achas li'akev, and 1 is ma'akev. In other words, the emakul mitzvah. Let's say all fall the mitzvah, and therefore, if you don't do any, it's good, guys. It says it 4 times, so you tell me 4 times. Maybe 4 is the mitzvah, and if you don't do it at all, you're yaitza. The Gemara says no. Kapara b'chdi lo yashchen. We don't find the kapara that what we don't find the kapara just stamazay. It doesn't exist. So we have Rabbi by Yos Yashiyun. We have Rabbi Yehuda ben Royitz by Shvuayim. We have Beis Shammai by Karnois written, even though it's written chaser, it's pronounced plural. 3 people who pronounce yesh aim le mikra. The yesh aim le mikra. Okay, now Reb Shimon was the 4th one. Reb Shimon Ditanya shtayim kil chasa. Now this you do know. This is from Masechta Sukkah, fellas. Right? How many walls do you need a sukkah? 2 and a tefach or 3 and a tefach? Right? This we know from Sukkah. Says the Gemara, the Tanya, shtayim kil chasan, 2 walls normal, ushlishas afilu tefach, the 3rd wall afilu tefach. Reb Shimon Omer shloisha kil chasan, you need 3 walls, revius, and the 4th wall afilu tefach. B'may kamifli, what's as far as hamachlekes? Rabbanan Savri, the Rabbanan hold yesh aim lemesiris. They go after the way what it is. It's written. Reb Shimon Savri yesh aim lemikra. Rabbanan Savri yesh aim lemesiris. Basukais chaser, basukais chaser, basukais male. So the first 2 are singular. It's missing the vav. That's 2. The 3rd one is 2 is 4. Harikan arba, that gives you 4. Dal chad, subtract 1. Kroa legufei, 1 that you need to know there's walls in the first place. Pashlu tilsa, tlas, you're left with 3. Asli hilchasa comes to lach l'mash misinai. Garata l'shlishis v'ukimta atefach. Guys. Like the Chachamim, Yeshem Lemesiris. The first 2 are mitten chaser. Since they're written chaser, that's 2. The 3rd one's written malay, that's 4. Good. I need 1 tchila for itself. That gives me 3. Halacha Mekmisinai, 1 of those can be letefach. That's Yeshem Lemesiris. What about Yeshem Lemikra? You go after the way it's read. We don't care about missing vavs. That's 6. It says it 3 times, and that's what we need over here. Says the Gemara. Reb Shimon Savar basukos harikan sheish. You have a total of 6. Dal chad, kroa legufei, delete 1 for itself. Pashalu arba, you have a total of 4. Asi Hilchasa comes along the halacha, Alashmi Sinai, Garatal Revius, that the fourth wall should be what? Should be a tefach. Look me at tefach. So that's Reb Shimon. The din by what? By the din by Sukkah. And finally, we have Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva did Nanya. Okay, now we know that there's something called tumis oil. That if you're in a room with a roof and there's a mace in the room, right? Even a part of a mace in the room, that you tumis mace. What's if the mace isn't there, but the blood of the mace is there? How much of the blood do you need to be there to mitami you? And the halacha is a revius adam. Now, this machlekes what a revius is, Chazon Ish, Moshe, 3.9, 5.2, machlekes. But that's enough to sustain a body, which is a pellet to me. A pellet that amount could sustain. But that's the amount, nice amount. So if you have the dam of a mace in a room, right, that would be matama. What happens if the revius is combined by two mason, not one? Do you need a revius from one mace, or it can be a combination of the two? And that's the discussion over here. Rabbi Akiva, where does Rabbi Akiva hold yesh aim lemikra? Tanya. Rabbi Akiva oimer minayin lerevius dam sheyotza mishnei mesim. How do you revius a dam that comes out of two mesim shemitama ba'oil, that the mitama tumis oil? Shnemar akol nafshois meis lo yavoy. It says nafshois is lashon of Rabbim. Shtei nafshois b'shir echad. Two nafshois in one shir. So two nafshois eating up to one revius would make mitama tumis oil. Rabbanon nafshois ksiv. It's written chaser. It's written chaser. Okay, so now going over the just the chazara. Rabbi Yitzchak the top line. Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef. Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi, who says it's din by Yashion. Rabbi Yehuda ben Royetz, who says it's din by Shvu Ayim. Ubei Shammai, who says it's din by Kronois. Rabbi Shimon, who says it's din by Sukkos. Rabbi Akiva, who says it's din by Nefashos. All of them hold Yeshem Lemikra. That's the chazara of the different shitas. Maskefla, Rav Acha Bar Yaakov, Mi Ika the less lay Yeshem Lemikra. Is there anyone who does not hold Yeshem Lemikra even when they're Makish Yisada? Tanya, it says in the Torah, Leisavashel Gedi Bachalevi Mo. Do not cook a goat in its mother's milk. Okay, Bachalevi Mo. Yachol b'chelev. I might think it's us that the cooking in chelev. Amit yesh em lemikra. We go after what? Yesh em lemikra. We go after the way it's pronounced. Now it's read b'chelev. It's pronounced. It's b'chalev. It's pronounced b'chalev. If you look at the pasuk, it's written b'chelev. It's pronounced b'chelev. No, b'chalev. It's pronounced b'chalev, in which is milk. So you see that you must go after what? There's no one who argues by Basa B'chalav, fellas. There's no one who argues by Basa B'chalav. No one. Everyone agrees that when it says over there, we read it as B'chalev. So everyone must hold Yeshem Lemikra. Because if not, the issue would be what? The issue would be in fat. So now the Gemara just threw a wrench into the what? Rabbi Yaakov threw a wrench into a whole Gemara. You said these are the only Tanoim who hold Yeshem Lemikra. Everyone has to hold Yeshem Lemikra. Obviously, it has to be, or else this is a Basa Chalav wouldn't exist. Ella the Kuliyam Yeshem Lemikra. Everyone holds Yeshem Lemikra. Now, so what do we have to do, guys? We have to go back over the whole Gemara and explain the shita of the Chachamim who disagreed. We have to go over the whole Gemara, right? We have to go over the case of Rabbi by Yashion. We have to go one by one. We're going to go over the whole Gemara. Says the very Geshmaka Gemara. Says the Gemara. The Rabbi Rabbanon who argue by Yashion, again, the Chachamim also have to hold. It means they. Yashion, you go after the way it's read. So now, Rabbi Savar, Yashion Elohim, Achrina. Yashion, they, is Elohim Achrina. Rabbanon Savri, Yashion is they, the Heyech Mahai, the same one. In other words, if you go in the pasuk, it mentions Elohim twice. It says Yashion Elohim. They. Rebbe learns they is two separate theys. There's one first Elohim, the second one. The Chacham say it's the same Elohim. It's the same they. Therefore it's only two, not four. It's the same ones. The pasuk right here. What does the pasuk say? I'll call it Pesha al Shach Amar al Shal Salma. I'll call it Veda Shem Akiyuzeh. Ad Elohim Yavai Devar Shnehem Asher Yashin Elohim Yishalim Shneim Reyehu. So you bring it to judges, and those same judges will paskin. So therefore, it's what? It's 2, not 4. Got it? So the Chacham also Yeshem Lemikra, but they're not locked into saying it's an additional 2. It's what? It's the original 2. Now, what was the next one? That was the Shivim. That was the case of Shuayim. Rabbi Yehuda ben Rayetz, Leipligi Rabban Alecha. Notice there was no machlokes over there. No one held it was Shivim. No one held that what? It was 70. Everyone agreed. So in Mela, there's not a problem that everyone holds Yeshem Lemikra. Everyone would be maskim over there that what? That if the woman's only told me for 14 days. Beis Hillel, the Tanya, it says v'chiper, v'chiper, v'chiper. It says by the karbonos. It says by the different karbonos. Rashi says the seir nasi, the seir of the nasi. The nasi brings a male goat as opposed to people who bring a female goat. Ubeseira the yachid, ubekisva the yachid. These are chatas chitzonius, guys. These are regular carbon chatas in the parsha of Vayikra Dalet. So you have 3 times. It says by each one v'chiper. Now it's mashma when it says v'chiper. It's mashma the sagi b'chapora achas kin mefarish. So we're going to explain that you can go ahead. It's enough to have 1. Mifnei adin, right? The din should be that you should need all of them, right? Well, says Rashi, Mifnei adin chutzru lichtov kulan. You have to write v'chiper, v'chiper, v'chiper. Diloy aviksivi. If you didn't write v'chiper, having misnayim bidina the kula matanis ma'akve sheyachol. I might think that you need all 4. I might think you need all 4. V'idinu that you need all 4. Nema domim lamata. It says blood. Now this Rashi brings in 3 pshatim. I'll bring the middle pshat. Guys, in the Mizbeach, there was a chut hasikra. There was a red thread at the halfway point of the Mizbeach. There were certain karbanos that were brought below and a carbon that was brought above. An oila, a shlamim, a asham were brought below the chut hasikra. The chatas was brought above the chut hasikra. So now, nema domim limata. It says domim on the oila, the shlamim, and the asham. V'nema domim l'mayla by the chatas, above. Mayim is above. Ma domim ha'omer l'mata by the asham, the shlamim, shenasim matana achas kiper. Af domim hamur l'mayla shenasim matana achas kiper. So, in other words, I can learn the following. I can learn just like below, 1's enough. Now it says yes. We skipped the parentheses, but it says v'dam zv'checha yishafech. The dam of your carbon should be spilled. Mashma even once. So by the carbon below the chut hasikra, it's enough to do once. Above the chut hasikra also should be enough to do once. That's one way to possibly learn. Okay, that it should only need 1. That's one way possible way to learn. Oi klach l'derech zu. Here's another possible way to learn. Nema domim b'chutz. It says domim on the animals that are brought outside, meaning on the mizbeach hachitzain. V'nema domim b'fnim, and it says domim by the animals that are brought inside. As I mentioned, there are a few animals that are called chatos pinimios. They're brought. You spritz in front of the curtain on Yom Kippur. You spritz even inside the Kachei Kadashim, and you put the blood on the mizbeach hazahav. So lamata lamaila is speaking both on the mizbeach hachitzain, the outside mizbeach. Chutz b'fnim is speaking about 2 separate mizbachos. One, the outside mizbeach is the chutz. The inside mizbeach is the mizbeach haketoiris. We usually bring ketoiris on. Now, in the inside one, guys, even 1's ma'akiv. You have to do all 4. So if I'm going to compare the outside to the inside, you'd need all 4. So guys, outside, excuse the pun. 2 possibilities. If I'm going to stay on the outside mizbeach and compare the chatas above to the one below, it will be enough 1. Just like below is enough 1, so too the chatas above is enough 1. If I'm going to compare the outside one to the inside one, just like the inside you need all 4, the outside one chatas should also need all 4. These are both chatas, the inside and the outside. So the question is, which way do you go? Do you go that way where 1's going to do the job, or you need all 4? That's what the Gemara is clearing right now. It says domim by the outside mizbeach. V'nema domim b'fnim, it says domim by the inside mizbeach. Ma domim amur b'fnim chiser achas matanas leyasav leiklum. Just like over there, if the inside one, you're missing even one spritz, you're gone. Af dam mamur bechutz, so to the blood on the outside, kisar achas matanas le'asa klum. So it's a tremendous difference how you learn. Nira, says the Gemara, lemi daime. Let's see which way this makes more sense to learn. Don in chutz michutz. Let's learn a chatas from the outside animals. A chatas from an oila. They're both outside. A chatas from a asham. A chatas from a shlamim. So therefore, let's learn donim michutz. Vein donim chutz mifnim. Or rather than learn a chatas from the inside, outside to a chatas that's an inside. Oi, chachel derech zu. Donim chatas v'dalit kronos, mi chatas v'arba kronos. Ve'ayochiach zeh shein chatas v'dalit kronos. Pirish, guys. And the outside mizbeach, look at me. Look at me. On the outside mizbeach, if you're going to go ahead and compare above the chut hasikra below, good. They're both on the outside mizbeach, but there's a significant difference. What's the difference? Over here, above, you're going to have to put 4. Over here, you're just going to do shtaim shein arba. You're going to have to spitz twice, and that twice is going to accomplish 4. On the other hand, the mizbeach inside is also 4. So there's two ways to go. If I go chutz, at least they're both in the same mizbeach. If I go chatas, at least they're the same carbon, the same amount. So right now, we don't know which way to go. If we go chutz, one matan is going to do the job. If I go chutz inside, you need 4, right? So right now, I have no way to go. So what's the v'chipa do? It comes along the word. Tamaloima, therefore it says, v'chiper, mifnei adin. Kiper, afa pei shalei nasan el shleisha, only 3. Kiper, afa pei shalei nasan el shtayim. And the third one, Keeper Afpishli Nasan Ella Achas, only 1. So Memela, I'm going to learn the 1, not because Yesh Aim Limisiris. Guys, again, we have a problem now. Beishamai Lechore is right. Yesh Aim Le Mikra. And it says Karnois, 4 for the max, 2 for the minimum. So Beis Hillel said 1. But if everyone agrees Yesh Aim Le Mikra, well, how could Beis Hillel get away with 1? We thought it was because it said Rat, Karnois chaser twice, and therefore it was only 4. No, we're not going after that. We have to figure out why Beis Hillel only holds 1. So here's the way you figure it out. Right. You figure it out, it says v'chiper 3 times. And you start off with 4. So I have 4. And 3 is going to take away, delete 3 of them, leaves me with 1, does the job. Good? But it had nothing to do with the way you read it, right? It had to do with a different limud. So we went through, what did we do today so far? We went through proving Yeshem Lemikra according to those 5 Tanoim, and we're saying everyone holds that. So the ones who we have to answer up the ones who argue on them, because from Basa B'chalav we learned out everyone has to go after the way it's read. And since everyone has to go after it's read from Basa B'chalav, they have to go after the way it's read by all those 5 cases. So each one, the first one Yashiyun, they said is speaking about the same one, the Rabbanon. No one argued what by Rabbi Yehuda ben Rayetz, no one argued on him that Shavuayim. Everyone went after the way it's read. And over here, where Beis Hillel argued and said 1, is because he had 3 v'chipers to go ahead and deduct from the 4 to make it what 1. So right now we're holding. Okay, we have to deal with the Rabbi Akiva, right? Rabbi Shimon by the Sukkah. Rabbi Shimon Rabbanan B'ha Pligi. Guys, let's go outside the problem. If Yesh the Mikra, you have 6. Basukas. The Chachamim had 4 because we went after the Messiahs, right? Now, if they go after the Mikra, they also have 6. So how do they end up with 2 walls? How, if you go after the way it's read, how do you end up with 2 walls and 1 tefach? Rabbi Shimon Rabbanan B'ha Pligi. Rabbi Shimon Savar Sichacha Loy Boy Kra. To say you don't need a pasuk for schach. You don't need a pasuk for that. So therefore, you don't need a pasuk for that. You have 6-4. Rabbanan Savi Sichacha Boy Kra. Very geschmack. I need one of the basukos for what? I need one of the sukkahs to teach me. I need one of the sukkahs to teach me what that needs schach. Since I need a pasuk for that, I only have what? I only have 4. So therefore, what you're gonna? I have 4. Yeah, l'chayri, you have 4. Okay. Let's one more time. But Reb Shimon Svar Sichchala Bayikra, you don't need schach. You don't need a pasuk for schach, right? The Rabbanan Sarbi Sichchala Bayikra. therefore, what? You need one pasuk for schach and the other one for 3 walls, right? 3 walls and schach. And now you have the tefach on what the halacha must Sinai for what? For the final wall. Rabbi Akiva Rabbanon, Rabbi Akiva who said in the Fashois, Rabbi Akiva Sava Nafshois Tarti Mashma. It's Mashma 2 different people. Rabbanon Sava Nafshois the Alma Mashma. When it says I call Nafshois Mace, it's not speaking about Nafshois 2 souls. It's speaking about souls in general. You come upon peoples. In other words, it's just a general term, not to go ahead and say from 2 separate mesim to have blood from 2 separate mesim. It's speaking in general, nafshois. When you come upon nafshois souls, and therefore it's only one person with tamei tumas mace from dam from one person. So therefore, it's very geschmack. Now here's the problem. Does everyone hold yesh aim lemikra? Now here's your problem. Vatanya, l'toitafos. So look the way it's written. That's 1, 2, 4. Chaser. Good. If you go yeshem lemikra, guys, you need 6 compartments for your tefillin. Guys, if everyone holds yeshem lemikra, you should need 6, correct? Because we don't care the way it's written. But what does it say over here? It says, "Vatanya l'toitafos harikan arba divrei Rabbi Yishmael." Rabbi Yishmael, that's 4. Now, isn't that the way it's written, guys? You're not holding yeshem lemikra. You're holding again chaser malay. That's the way it's written. You're creating 4 from the Messiah, not from the way it's read. Rabbi Kiva Oimar ain't it sarich. You don't need this the Why? Because tat b'katfi, tat in the language of the katfim is shtayim, pat b'afriki is shtayim. So tat you put together tat is 4. Tat is 4. We have to get back to this. Like you're learning from 2 foreign languages. You're learning what? This is the bloggable stuff. You're learning from what? Tat foreign languages. I'm bringing in to learn how your tefillin is based upon in tat and pat. Okay, we'll see. I have a geschmack shot. Eloilam pligi. Taka they do argue by yeshem lemikra yeshem l'sayra. So you just did a total 180. You went back to first base. We did a 360. Initially, you held it was a machlokes. Now you tell me everyone agreed. Now you tell me no, it's a machlokes. Eloilam pligi. V'hani miliki pligi hechid the shnei krum the shani krum mesiris. Right. When they argue is when they're different. That's when they argue. Guys, what was Akasha? Akasha was from what? Basa b'chalav. Akasha was basa b'chalav. Aval hai chelev v'chelev v'chi hadadininu, then yesh im lemikra, you go after the way it is read. When it's different, it's missing a vav, and it's pronounced a different way, then you have a machlokes. When it's written the same way, then we go after the way it's pronounced. So whether you're going to assert loisavashal gedi b'chalev, or you're going to say loisavashal gedi b'chalev, then you're going to go after the way it's pronounced because it's written the same way. That's what it means. So your kasha is not a kasha. You want to say that you have to go after the way it's read. Everyone agrees when there is no difference between the way it's written and the way it's read, you go after the way it's read. The machlokes is where it's written differently than the way it's read. The machlokes is when it's written one way and read another way, that's your machlokes. But when it's written and read the same way, then you go after the way it's read. So loisavashal gedi b'chalev imo is the same as b'chalev or b'chelev imo. So mele, it's not a kasha, and we're back to that machlokes. And therefore, you can do away with the whole amid base and keep the amid aleph. I didn't mean that. Anyway, but now Fred the Gemara. 1 second. I'm going to show you 2 places where it's read, and read the same way, l'chayra, and you don't go after the mikra. Now the pasuk says the following: Shalosh pa'amim bashana, 3 times a year, yeroeh kol zechurcha el pnei adam Hashem. Yeroeh, they should be seen. Yeroeh, they should be seen. Yireh, he should see. Yeroeh, they should be seen. Okay, so now let's see what we do with this. Says the Gemara. Upligi, and they argue. The Tanya, Mishum Rabbi Yehuda, Ben Tema, Hasuma Be'echad Me'enov, someone who's blind in one eye, Pata Min Ariyah. He's Pata from the mitzvah of being Oil Regel and being seen by a Kadosh Baruch Hu. Shenemar, Yeroeh, and in Yireh, Kiderach Shebo Lerois, just like he comes Lerois to see, Kach Bo Lerois to be seen. Mal Lerois to see B'shtei Einov, Af Lerois to see, Lerois to see B'shtei Einov, Af Lerois to be seen B'shtei Einov. So you see that we are darshaning Yeroah Yereh, but according to you, it should only be Yeroeh. So what do you see? It's not true. It's not true that what? That when it's written the same way, you don't go after the way, not everyone goes after the way it's written, even though it's the same words. So you want to say Bachelev Bachalev. So therefore, you're not going to, you go after the way it's read. But you see over here, it's read Yeroeh, and yet Rabbi Yochanan the Bai learns Yereh. He's learning the way, right, to see. Elo Amar Ravacha Berei de Rav Ika Amar Kra Le'Savashel Gedi. It says you shouldn't cook a goat. Now, when you cook, if you cook in milk, you're cooking because milk is solol, it's viscous. If you cook in fat, you're frying. Think about it. If you cook in fat, you're frying. You don't cook in fat. You cook it in something that's a liquid. So therefore, it's not because it's pronounced bachalev. It's pronounced bachalev because it says bishul. The bishul touches up the way you're going to pronounce it. Einachinami, you have machloikis. Yeshem lemikra, yeshem lemesairis, and you'll even have machloikis, yeshem lemikra lemesairis, if it's written the same way. So therefore, it's not a good teretz by bachalev, because even though it's written bachalev, you pronounce bachalev, I can read it bechalev, just like it's pronounced yeroeh, and we darshin yireh. So it has nothing to do with the way it's written and pronounced. You could still have the machloikis there. Ella, so this whole thing the problem started with chalev, bachalev. No one in the world holds, guys. If you're gonna end up with this, you're gonna end up. You know what? Basa b'chalav would be mutter. Ella, what? Since it says loisavashel beautifully, it says loisavashel could be derech bishul asru Torah. It's derech bishul the Torah ash. Only derech bishul and not what, and not derech what, not derech tigun. And when you fry it, you fry in fat, you cook in oil, you cook in milk, and therefore it means bishul. Now, there's this I got from the Sefer Margolius Hayom. And the problem he has is, how in the world do we learn Toitafais and pat? What's going on over there? It makes no sense. Pat. Ubashalach cholak chelek this and this. Al yala b'libcha, do not let it enter your mind. Sha'Torah kosva elu al l'shaynais she'ena b'lashon kodesh. Like you're writing Toitafais that it's not in lashon kodesh. It's written in a foreign language, in Katfi or Afriki. Elahachi Pirusha. Here's the explanation. Kishabara Kodesh Baruch Hu Elamai, when Hashem created the world, Lahoya Rak La Kodesh Baruch Hu, Harak Lashon HaKodesh. When Hashem created the world, Hayarak Lashon HaKodesh. The only language was Lashon HaKodesh. Ukishebolul al L'shonis B'dar Aflaga. And when Hashem mixed up the languages by the Dar Aflaga, when they were building the Tower of Migdal Bavel, Ba Milashon HaKodesh Gam Kain Bishar HaL'shonis V'Hatevis Hanal. And these words, these letters over here, right? They came from Lashon Kodesh and they were mixed up in the other languages. Heim Lashon Kodesh, v'nivalu b'Lashon Katfei Oy Afriki, and the word tat and pat, which is Lashon Kodesh, got mixed up in Katfei b'Afriki. So in fact, guys, that tat pat is Lashon Kodesh. It's not. It got mixed up. The language of Katfei and Afriki came about as the result of the 70 languages that we created by the Dar Aflaga. But in fact, the Toitafais, the combination of Katvi, Afriki, are not that language. They're Lashon Kodesh. They happen to be in that language because they came about Lashon Kodesh. The 70 languages contain in themselves Lashon Kodesh. V'chein kosev hagais malbim, these letters, Midor Aflaga Nishru, Milois Rabbis, B'Lashon Kodesh, Me'orev b'lashoina, mixed up in their languages. V'chein nishtaku milas rabbis milashon kodesh v'chein timsa. No, it's guys. If you think about it, I'll give you a few languages in lashon, a few letters in lashon kodesh. Gomel, Gimel, Mem, Lamed, camel. Peiros, Pei, Reish, Vav, Saf, fruit. Peiros, Pei, Reish, Vav, fruit. Ash, Aish. In other words, you find even in the English language, which itself is not is a language from other languages, but you find contained in there. This is a good example of what of lashon kodesh. So toitafos, don't think for a second it's Afriki. Don't think it's like two separate. It clearly is what. It clearly is the language of lashon kodesh. It happens to be that those letters remain in Afriki.